Black history. It ain't no mystery. Black history. It ain't no mystery. Black history. It ain't no mystery.
Sojourner Truth, Mr. New School's Black History Spotlight. Brave, strong, hardworking, proud, trailblazer. Those are just a few words that speak to the type of person that Sojourner Truth was. The name Sojourner Truth embodies a legacy of greatness, courage, and self-actualization that only a select few ever achieve. The great women's rights activist, abolitionist, evangelist, and author known as Sojourner Truth was born into slavery around 1797 in Swaterkill, Ulster County, New York. She was born as Isabella Baumfree to her parents, Elizabeth and James Baumfree. Truth had upwards of 10 siblings. Her childhood was harsh, to say the least. She was sold many times. First, around 9 years of age, after her owner died. Over the years, she would go on to be subjected to violent and foul treatment by slave owners, get married, and have children. Eventually, in 1826, Sojourner would take her infant daughter and escape her owner, John Dumont, after he refused to emancipate her, as he promised. A short time later, in 1828, with help from the Van Wagners, the abolitionist family that bought her freedom, Truth would go to court and sue Dumont for illegally selling her son, Peter. Sojourner would win the case and regain her son, making her the first Black woman to sue a white man and win. A year later, she would move to New York City. During her time there, she worked as a housekeeper. In 1843, she had a revelation in which God instructed her to preach the truth. She adopted the name Sojourner Truth and traveled to Springfield, Massachusetts. By 1846, Sojourner connected with powerful abolitionists like Frederick Douglass and William Lloyd Garrison. She was influenced to become an abolitionist herself. Truth would speak on the evils of slavery, women's rights, human rights, and nonviolence. Although she could not read or write, in 1850 she dictated her life experiences to Olive Gilbert in what would become the narrative of Sojourner Truth, her autobiography. Sojourner lectured all over, including at the First National Women's Rights Convention in Worcester, Massachusetts. Large crowds would gather to hear the words of Truth. Her wisdom, passion, a past as a person who'd escaped slavery drew people from far and wide. Sojourner Truth had arrived. In 1851, Truth gave her "Ain't I a Woman" speech, challenging the status quo, standing firmly on her belief in gender equality. Sojourner continued speaking nationally. Sojourner continued assisting slaves to freedom. During the 1860s, she played an intricate part in organizing supplies and supporting Black troops of the Civil War. Because of her efforts, after the war, she was invited to the White House and met with President Abraham Lincoln. While in Washington, D.C., she worked helping freed slaves gain employment and experience overall better living conditions. Sojourner would spend her final years at her home in Battle Creek, Michigan. She died from illness on November 28, 1883. Sojourner Truth was a giant in the fight for freedom and liberation, called on by God to journey abroad, deliver service, action, and speak truth. Interesting fact about Sojourner Truth. In 1865, Sojourner suffered a dislocated arm at the hands of a streetcar conductor who was attempting to force her off the vehicle in Washington, D.C. Truth would initiate and win a lawsuit causing the streetcar company to enforce Washington, D.C.'s desegregation law and costing the driver his job.
Black history. It ain't no mystery. Black history. It ain't no mystery. Black history. It ain't no mystery.